Chike's heart raced as the monitor beeped sharply. Mama Chike's breathing faltered, her small hands gripping the white sheets. The room smelled faintly of antiseptic and rain from the window outside. Nurses rushed past him, their shoes tapping on the tiled floor, voices sharp and urgent. Dr. Obina pushed through the door, his face calm but tired. She needs surgery, but the deposit must be ready in 48 hours. Chike's chest tightened. 48 hours. The weight of the impossible sank into his shoulders. He called on Kukilechi. I need help, he stammered. The line went silent. Chifuche could not help either. Even Emeka, a former friend, was broke. The hospital walls seemed to close in, and Chike felt the cold floor under his knees as he sank to sit. His hands shook, his mind racing with numbers, bills, and desperation. That night, cleaning the gym under dim fluorescent light, he felt a gaze piercing through him. A woman stood there, tall, poised, calm, her eyes sharp. Adaize. She extended a thick envelope. "She may solve your problem," she said. Her voice was steady, almost too calm. Chike's fingers brushed the paper. It felt alive. He did not open it, not yet. Outside, rain fell heavy, washing the streets in silver. He whispered to himself, "I will do anything, anything to save her." Somewhere in the quiet of the city night, a decision waited. Morning light streamed through the hospital windows, cutting across Chike's weary face. Mama Chike coughed softly, her eyes searching his. "Are you okay?" he whispered. She smiled faintly. "I am strong, my son." But the lie between them throbbed in the room unspoken. Dr. Obina's words echoed relentlessly in Chike's mind. 48 hours. Chike called every relative, every friend, every former classmate. Each call ended with rejection, excuses, or silence. The numbers in his bank account mocked him. The laptop, the phone, gone. Still not enough. He walked the hospital corridors at night, watching machines beep, imagining time slipping through his fingers like sand. At the gym, Adaize appeared again, her heels tapping softly on the polished floor. She did not smile. "You have courage, but courage is not enough." She left without another word, her presence lingering like smoke. Chike stared at the empty gym, at the mop in his hand, and wondered what she meant. The envelope in his bag seemed heavier tonight, almost aware, almost breathing. How far would he go to save the woman who had given him everything? And would this unknown choice demand more than he could bear? Night descended on the city like a velvet curtain, and Chike walked its streets with numb feet. The rain had stopped, leaving the roads wet and reflective, shimmering like a mirror of his anxiety. His stomach ached with hunger, and the envelope burned against his chest. He considered opening it. Could one night really solve everything? At home, Mama Chike slept weakly. Every shallow breath pulled at Chike's chest, his hands trembling as he held her hand. He imagined failing her, letting her down after a life of sacrifice. The moral choice tore at him: protect her life at any cost or preserve his own dignity. The city noises filtered in, cars, shouting vendors, distant laughter, life continuing while he stood frozen, trapped by his own desperation. The next morning, the hospital corridors felt tighter, suffocating. Dr. Obina's eyes were heavy with expectation. "Time is running out," the doctor said. Chike nodded silently, unable to speak. Every step he took seemed to echo, reminding him of the deadline, of the impossible task. The envelope sat in his backpack, mocking him, whispering possibilities. One decision could save his mother, but at what cost? Adaize appeared at the gym again, this time sitting on the bench by the weights. Her sharp eyes scanned him, unflinching. "You have endured hunger, exhaustion, fear, and you work even when your body says stop. That is rare." Chike swallowed, unsure whether admiration or judgment lay in her gaze. What is this?" he asked, nodding towards the envelope. "Open it," she said simply. But alone, one night, one decision, nothing more. Her words sank into him like stones. Chike left the gym, walking through rain-slicked streets to the bus station. The envelope felt heavier than any burden he had carried. At home, Mama Chike placed it on the table near Mama Chike's bed and stared at it all night, heart pounding with dread and hope. Could a stranger's offer really solve everything? When dawn broke, the city smelled of wet earth and dust. The envelope called to him, but he resisted. Somewhere deep in the shadows of his mind, a whisper asked, "What price is life worth?" Chike stepped on the hospital bench as Dr. Obina paced nearby. "Have you made progress?" the doctor asked. Chike swallowed. I am trying." Dr. Obina's sigh weighed heavily. "Time is short. If the deposit is not paid, there is nothing more we can do." Chike clutched the envelope. Inside, Adaize's promise waited. He imagined the papers, the money, the one night that could save his mother. Every moral lesson he had learnt as a boy clashed with his desperation. Could he betray himself to save another? At the gym that evening, Adaize appeared once more. Her eyes were unreadable. "You do not need courage, you need decision," she said. The clock ticked loudly in Chike's mind as he realized she was waiting for him to cross the invisible line. And tonight, he knew the choice would not wait. Rain hammered the city streets as Chike followed Adaize to her car. The envelope burned in his backpack. He felt cooled, but his body shook for another reason: fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of compromise, fear of what he might become. The car glided through empty roads. Lights from passing cars reflected on wet glass. Adaize said nothing, but her presence was immense, quiet and commanding. Chike clutched the envelope tightly, remembering Mama Chike's weak smile, her faith in him. The city lights blurred past, casting broken patterns on the wet glass. Chike realized that the life he had known would not exist after this night. Every step, every heartbeat, every choice was now part of a greater story that demanded a price. The driver remained silent. Adaize never spoke of emotion, only consequence. Chike clenched the envelope, unsure if courage or desperation had led him this far. He glanced at the city below, knowing he could never return unchanged. The night had swallowed him, and it would not release him easily.
The house Adaize led Chike into was quiet, vast, almost sterile. Every footstep echoed, the polished floors reflecting his tension back at him. He followed her silently through hallways lined with expensive paintings and closed doors. His chest felt tight and his hands trembled. The envelope sat heavy in his bag, reminding him of the life or death bargain he had accepted. Adaize spoke softly. "This is not a home, it is a place of decision. Your night begins when you step inside the next room." Chike's stomach churned. He could hear nothing but his own heartbeat. A gust of wind rattled the curtains, and the silence pressed down, almost physical. Every instinct screamed to flee, yet every thought of Mama Chike's fragile breath chained him forward. He entered the room Adaize had opened. Warm light and quiet air enveloped him, but the moral weight of the night pressed relentlessly. His reflection in the window looked different, older, harder. One night, one choice. The clock ticked. Would he survive this night with his conscience intact? Chike sat on the edge of the bed, fully aware of the envelope in his hand. The rules were clear. One night, no attachments, no questions. Yet fear gnawed at him. He could feel every muscle in his body tense. The room smelt faintly of polished wood and rain outside. He imagined Mama Chike sleeping in the hospital, her fragile chest rising and falling. Adaize did not enter immediately. Her calm observation from the doorway seemed to pierce him through. She finally said, "Fear will not save lives. Decision will." Chike exhaled slowly, knowing that inaction was not an option. Every moral lesson he had learned clashed violently with the desperate need to save his mother. He opened the paper again, staring at the line meant for his signature. One line, one word. The envelope felt heavier than the room itself. Rain began to tap on the windows again, soft at first, then insistent. Chike's mind raced, imagining the unknown consequences. Could he go through with this and return unchanged? The pen shook in Chike's hand. "Just one night," he whispered to himself. Every instinct screamed no, yet love for his mother chained him to the paper. The ink bled across the line, permanent, irreversible. His reflection in the window seemed to shiver. He had crossed a threshold, and there was no turning back. Adaize's voice was calm, almost approving. Decisions define life. Fear only paralyzes it. Chike exhaled slowly, knowing that inaction was not an option. The city outside moved on, oblivious. Lights flickered across wet streets. For a moment, he imagined someone watching, judging, waiting for him to fail. The night stretched long. Every second seemed to echo with consequence. Chike closed his eyes, focusing on Mama Chike's fragile breaths at the hospital. One night, one choice, one life saved. Yet in the quiet of Adeze's house, he realized that some choices leave permanent marks on the world and on the soul. Morning light began to filter through the curtains, but Chike's heart remained heavy. The night had passed, and he felt both relief and unease. Adeze appeared, her gaze sharp but unreadable. Your part is complete, but do not forget, the price is not always visible. Chike nodded, unsure what she meant. He dressed silently, feeling the weight of both action and consequence. The envelope, now lighter, still pulsed with meaning. Adeze led him to the car. Do not speak of this night to anyone. Some debts are invisible, yet eternal. The city streets blurred past, the early sun reflecting on rain-soaked roads. Chike returned to the hospital, soaked, tired, and weary. Mama Chike slept, oblivious to the night's events. He watched her chest rise and fall, the quiet machine beside her signaling life. Relief and guilt twisted together in his chest. The price of one night remained unspoken, unmeasured, yet forever embedded in his memory. Life resumed its rhythm, but Chike knew he had changed. Each step through the hospital corridors felt heavier. Dr. Obina's nod confirmed Mama Chike's surgery had been successful. Tears filled Chike's eyes as he held her frail hand. She smiled, trusting him completely. The city outside moved as if nothing had happened. Chike returned to the gym for work. The fluorescent lights felt different, the empty machines like silent witnesses. Adeze did not appear again, yet her presence lingered in the envelope, in the choice, in the permanent shadow across his conscience. He realized that some decisions leave marks, invisible to the world, but impossible to forget. The rain began again that evening, a familiar rhythm. Chike looked at the wet streets, the glowing city lights, and wondered, was survival enough? Could the price of saving a loved one ever truly be paid, or was it always a debt in the soul? Chike returned home, exhausted. Mama Chike's weak smile greeted him, her eyes filled with trust. Yet in the quiet of his room, the envelope's memory pressed down. One night, one action, what had it cost? The city outside seemed oblivious, but inside, the moral weight lingered. He remembered Adeze's words, the price is not always visible. Shadows of doubt whispered in his mind. He had done the right thing, had saved his mother, yet some choices cannot be erased. His hands shook as he touched the empty space where the envelope had rested. Chike realized that life continues, but morality leaves echoes. Every smile, every breath of his mother now carried his secret weight. And though she was safe, the question remained, at what cost does love demand action? Mama Chike recovered slowly, her laughter returning, fragile but real. Chike watched her, heart full, eyes wet. The city outside roared with life, but inside he reflected on the night that had changed him. One night, one decision, one life saved. Yet something within him had been altered forever. He returned to his studies, his work, his life. The envelope was gone, Adeze vanished, yet the lessons remained. Desperation can demand impossible choices, love can force compromise, and courage is sometimes measured in survival and sacrifice. Chike sat by his mother's side, holding her hand. "You are safe," he whispered. She smiled, oblivious to the night's events, of the choice that had saved her. Chike closed his eyes, feeling both relief and guilt. Life continued, yet some nights leave marks no time can erase. And somewhere in the city, Adeze watched from afar, waiting for the next choice, the next life she would touch.